So we've got kind of a Mardu mid-rangey deck. It's got some parallels to Mardu Pyromancer. We've got some Bloodghast and some Demigod of Revenge at the top end for a little bit more graveyard synergy type stuff. And then, because we're not leaning into Pyromancer, we're playing some copies of Damnation as well. So it'll be interesting to see if this just feels like bad Mardu, or if the possibly more aggressive top end and more recursive threats potentially feels reasonable. It's not your fault, Savage Rocker. Yeah, I think those archetypes are just, it's just a tough sell. Like trying to control the board with such limited access to good cards that control is tough. Dumos! 36 months. That's so long. That's like almost an entire deck in length. Thank you for the 3 years. It's a lot of time. Stake your plot of land in Hoglandia. You can have it wherever you'd like. You get first picks. You're one of the first ones up. Gosh, I'm gonna have to actually get a castle icon done, huh? When are we flipping more pigs? Chat, thank you for the 25 months at the tier 3. I do appreciate it. Welcome back. Oh, I forgot to turn my lights on this morning. I need to have like a checklist. Keep forgetting to hit the lights in the morning when I get down here. Jet, it's like not even 7 a.m. by you, Jet. That's so early. I don't think that's probably not a very unfair assessment, Mage. We're probably better at grinding, but worse on average against graveyard hate. Well, those are certainly some draws. All right. I'll take a plot of land down by the salt mines. Uh, 4 years is the castle. 3 years is a plot of land. 4 years is a castle to stake it in. I actually don't have a castle icon done yet because Tumos is the first to hit a 3 years. So I've got the timer starts now. I got 12 months to come up with a reasonable castle icon. All right, that's not bad. I think I'm going to lead on the Faithless Looting here still, because if I hit a third Bloodghast, I'd like to ditch that. I don't have white mana, so let's ditch these souls. They didn't cycle anything on one, but Copperline Gorge makes me think Living End. They could just be Jund with the weird mana base, but Copperline Gorge when you should be playing Raging Ravine, so I'm not quite sure what they're doing. Let's hopefully find out here. Wow, they are in fact just playing Living End. Okay. Huh. Weird that they didn't. Guess they just want to preserve the health total. Gamer, thank you for the $15 donation there. Put Cheerios back in the queue with the changes talked about at the wrap up the other day. Sounds good, sounds good, sounds good. Will do. Well, we're taking the Demonic Dread here. But the unfortunate part is that we actually just like need to kill them, right? Like discard spells aren't particularly meaningful disruption in a matchup like this because of all these cycle cards. The opponent is just like consistently able to like refine the things that we take away from them, basically. Assume we're gonna get Stone Rain here. No, not yet. I guess I'm just gonna flashback Lingering Souls. I think our graveyard hate is Surgical, yeah. So Surgical's not very good in this matchup. I assume we're gonna lose the Lavaclaw Reaches here. I don't think I want to bog them this turn. Aces! Thank you for the 8-month resub and welcome back. I appreciate that. I don't think there's been enough drama this week. Do you have any hot takes I can misquote and post to Reddit? It's funny because it's sad. I'm just gonna play Swamp and pass here. I think they're gonna play another Fulminator Mage this turn, probably. If they living end this turn, I'm gonna be a little bit sad, I guess, but I think it's worth waiting. They're really gonna put like just Arcfiend into play. Oh, this is Fulminator Mage, right? They're paying the multicolor costs, yeah. No non-basics for you. Alright, I think at this point, I'm okay just bogging them because they're definitely in range of wanting to get their stuff back. Do I want to flashback souls? I feel like I don't want to flashback souls here. I feel like there's a good chance they want to sweep as is. All of my abilities have to do with interacting with Twitch chat. Suspended living end. Okay. Well then, yeah, I guess I'll take that, and I'll go ahead and do this. Huh. Well, it's unlikely, but it's looking like our initial discard spell taking them off their living end thing might actually win us this game. Alright, so you're dead on board. You want to board in these? I guess these are okay. Push is definitely bad. Guess Bolt is medium too. Yeah, that seems fine. I guess if we can tag a living end in their hand with a discard spell, Surgical's pretty good. Surgical's kind of medium at just like stopping their actual primary game plan from happening. Double Surgical, however, seems perfectly fine. Sure. No, I think Liliana's okay because she is able to edict their creatures away. We kind of want to like minimize the number of things they can put into play and then be able to kill the things that they end up putting into play. King Nerd the Second, thank you for the brand new tier 2 sub. I appreciate that. My Tier 2 subs support me a little bit extra compared to the Tier 1 subs, so as a special thank you to them, my Tier 2 subs get to bump a deck of their choosing in the queue every month when they resub at the Tier 2 level, so feel free to drop me a message in private after taking a peek at the donation queue and let me know which deck you'd like to push up by a couple of points. 10 points. Sphere makes them pay 1 extra, but, like, we don't have the tools to get under the opponent's deck, so bringing in Sphere, I think, feels weird to me, because I can't really leverage the delay that it's going to cause them, essentially. I guess I should have fetched Sacred Foundry tapped there. Yeah, probably should have fetched Sacred Foundry tapped. This insulates us against Fulminator Mage, kinda. Kinda, not really. Yep, there's a Fulminator. And this is a spot where not having a basic planes in my deck feels pretty bad. Because, like, there's no basic planes, so that means I can fetch Swamp, fetch Sacred Foundry here, but then they get to choose which colors they're cutting me off, basically. Jojo, here's for my donation deck. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for the extra 5 on top. So this needs to be Sacred Foundry. I think I want to just get rid of this ley line so I can unlock that as a resource for myself. Dougie Adams, thank you very much for the bid. I appreciate that. Welcome. 100 bits. Get those added to blue-black thing. Always a friendly reminder to anybody that's thinking about cheering or donating. For every $1 you donate or 1 bit you cheer, you get to push a deck of your choosing in the queue up. $1 or 100 bits. I said that. Did I not say 100 bits? Did I say 1 bit? Yeah, if we could hit a living end with surgical, we'd be in a pretty absurd spot. That's definitely the truth. Interesting that they binned a swamp with this instead of a creature. Must just be on a bunch of lands, right? Land, speaking of. Bojuka Bog would be absurd. Beast Withinning. The thing, yep. Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog. And I can't cast that because I don't have red mana. I'm partially pushing this up, hoping they've been a living end. Just because, like, living end's a card they have in their hand they might not necessarily want to suspend. We do run Basic Mountain, but I haven't had a fetch land that finds Basic Mountain. We had a Bloodstained Mire earlier, but I needed to fetch Sacred Foundry so I could cast this Anguished Unmaking. Alright, so this actually isn't going to be that bad for us here. We get to Surgical Fulminator Mage and Surgical Street Wraith here, and then we just get to Edict, the Horror of the Broken Lands. Yeah, but then I wouldn't have had double black to Fizzy, so I had to choose between Mountain or double black, and I chose to get double black because I had Liliana the Veil, and I had Kalitas in my hand. Hey, Cookie Lord. Thank you for giving out the subs. I appreciate the generosity. Alright, so those are gone. They have double Street Wraith in their bin. Why don't we bin Kalitas to Liliana? Because there was never a guarantee that they were going to Living End us. And if they didn't Living End us, those are their only 2 Street Wraiths? That's so weird. They also could have things like Fairy Macabre. So they're going to get exactly Horror of the Broken Lands. I'm going to get a very sad Bloodghast back. I get to edict them off their thing here. The 4-color control list, I don't have it posted currently. I had someone send in a big donation last night, so it'll just be up later. I never actually added it to the queue. Land. Untapped land. Untapped land. And flashback looting here. Why do you think Culligan's command would be good? I actually don't know that I agree with that. You make the hurt go away. They pitched a Spirit Guide. What do they have that's 6 mana that's an instant? Or did they do that by mistake? Yeah, they're just discarding the Spirit Guide. Okay, that makes sense. Now, I really don't want to discard the Kalitas, chat. They have, like... discarding the Kalitas gets punished by Fairy Macabre. And it only pays us off if they have exactly a Living End here. And they don't guaranteed have the Living End. Yeah, I agree with that. Someone commented on Culligan's Command in this deck. I actually don't think Culligan's Command is very good synergy in this deck. Alright, they're flooding for now. It's curious that they are aggressively looking for a thing here. It's possible I should have held on to Damnation. A land would just be so absurd here at any point. Hey, but the value. Thank you very much for the 6-month resub there. I appreciate it. Like, land would give our Bloodghast haste. It comes back from the bin. It would let us cast Kalitas. That being said, an untapped red source next turn is lethal, right? It lets us attack for 8. Culligan's Command, I think, wouldn't be as good in this deck because a big part of what makes Culligan's Command good is the fact that it's able to raise dead. Alright. Did you draw Violent Outburst? Oh, Magic. Magic the Gathering. To be fair, this match has felt a lot closer than I was expecting it to feel. I was definitely expecting this matchup to feel pretty bad, and I feel like we've been like in these games. Yeah, they cycle a lot. It's their first one in like 26 cards. So I want to put the Horror of the Broken Lands with not the lands. Probably this. Probably this. Yeah, but if they keep this pile, we're just dead on board. That was close. They got pretty unlucky for a little bit there, and then we never found our land. Needed our fourth land a little bit sooner there. I guess technically like our fifth land, right? Because we got Stone Rained once. Modern doesn't have a metagame. Modern is a format where everybody shows up with whatever pile of poop that they enjoy playing. And today, the pile of poop we have opted to run into that somebody enjoys playing is Living End. People like to use words like meta and stuff like that just to like basically use buzzwords. And it's really annoying in my opinion. It's just like, like this is a format where like there's 50 different decks that you could expect to see at any given tournament. So like, you know, so it's not like this is a meta choice. It's just probably the deck that they have that they like playing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's a powerful, proactive deck. All right, well if we can draw a Surgical Extraction. Lavaclaw Reaches is a pretty bad creature land. It's pretty bad. One of the things I wonder is if Shambling Vent would be better. So far, it hasn't been relevant, but I definitely am a big fan of Shambling Vent over Lavaclaw Reaches in general. To be fair, the turn you could have discarded Kalitas instead of Damnation, I believe the correct line, because you could control the board with Liliana and eat the creatures they would hardcast. With Bloodghast, we can maintain pressure to get out of the way if they Living End. Sure, but like then we just like, so basically you're gambling that I'm never going to draw a land and they're never going to draw a Fairy Macabre in addition to their thing. And I think like the Venn diagram where that happens, where I never draw a land and they never draw a Fairy Macabre, like I'm pretty likely to draw a land even if they're not super likely to draw a Fairy Macabre. I think you're being pretty results based with your thinking there. I don't think we were in a position to beat a Living End. I don't even know what I want to cast here. I think it's just Faithless Looting, since I have these two in my hand and I have this Damnation. I wouldn't mind finding like a Surgical to take all their Living Ends away. We're gonna get Fulminator next turn, which feels bad, but is what it is. Yeah, they have two Macabres in their deck. Alright. Pretty dead to a living end at this point. Without a metagame, how do you build a sideboard in Modern? You think about the decks that you expect to see, and you have a realistic plan for them, but then you also need to be able to be flexible outside of that plan. I guess I have Damnation if they have a living end. Do I want to put Bloodghast into play? I think I do. It's like getting up to 6 power seems pretty reasonable here. Sure, but in Modern, the way the format works, Modern isn't like Standard or even Legacy, where the list of decks you expect to see makes up 75, 80, 90% of the format. In Modern, I tell you the 10 decks I'm most likely to play against in a tournament, and that's maybe half the room, probably less. So the amount that you can prepare for that in a reasonable way is far less in this format than in other formats that are more defined and have less variety in them. There are archetypes you can prepare for and like have a reasonable plan, but at the end of the day, there's lots of tournaments where you're going to play where you're just never going to play against any of those things that you prepared for. You can also prepare for generic strategies, like I have this many cards for artifact decks, and this many cards for small creature decks, and this many cards for control decks. Yeah, I think that a more accurate statement is like what someone said. You can it's often better to prepare generically for strategies rather than to prepare for specific decks. Like for instance, with the tempo deck, one of the things I wanted to make sure of when I was building my sideboard was that I explicitly had enough cards in the sideboard to be able to cut all of my counterspells in the matches where counterspells weren't good. I think I'm going to escalate this with the Drain mode, ditching this Terminate. No, I'm going to ditch the Unmaking. Terminate and Unmaking are pretty similar at this point, right? And this requires white mana. This also puts my opponent down to 9, which means our Bloodghast will have haste. Alright, our hand is full of poop. Hopefully it stays that way. They've been very unlucky in these games. I feel like our opponent has run far below average. I am just a firm believer in that if you spend all of your time preparing against just specific decks for a format like Modern, and you don't have the flexibility to play against a variety of things, you're gonna show up and be disappointed. Like, Modern's the type of format where you could find a deck that's 95% against humans and Hallowed One and Bridgevine and Blue-White Control, like 4 of the best decks in the format, and like still be unsuccessful when you show up to a tournament with a deck that's 90% against the 5 best decks. Because those decks are gonna account for, you know, a quarter of your matches, if that. Yeah, in my previous experience, Legacy, especially when you're winning, tends to have a more narrow metagame than Modern. Alright, are you dead? What are we doing? We have successfully beaten who might be the most unlucky living end player I have ever faced. Sure, but that's a really minor thing, Zaka. Like, splitting your Verdict and your Wrath of God to play around Meddling Mage, that isn't... It's effectively running the same effect with a very small hedge. And in my opinion, that's the correct way to metagame. You shouldn't be... Over-metagaming is like cutting cards that are generically good for cards that are specifically good in only matchups. Over metagaming would be like, you know, it's like the equivalent of like, you see Legacy decks that play Pyroblast in their main deck with some consistency like that. Because Legacy's so narrow, you can expect to play against enough blue decks that you know main deck Pyroblast is going to be good. I think the default is F2. I have mine Rebound, though. I played Magic Online for a Chromebook for an entire semester during college, and Chromebooks don't have F keys, so I just rebind all my keys to what I got used to playing on the Chromebook. Alright, what are you doing over there? Do I care about Blood Moon? I don't think I do, right? How do we feel about just taking Faithless Looting here? I kind of like it. Let's take Faithless Looting. The same stuff you use to run it on Linux. It runs via Wine. In my experience, Living End is not particularly good in Modern. It's a deck that doesn't have a super fast linear draw compared to other linear decks that exist in the format. And because it can't play cards really that cost less than 3 mana because of the Cascade restriction, it realistically can't interact super efficiently with decks that are faster than it. We've played it a few times on stream. You can check it out on my YouTube channel if you want some thoughts on it when I'm closer to having played it. Yeah, Living End is good against creature decks with explicitly not counter spells. Discard spells in general often come up short against Living End because they have so many cycle cards. I mean, no basic planes doesn't really feel bad against Blood Moon. Our deck only has Lingering Souls as a white card, and we have Faithless Looting and Liliana to bin that, so I don't think we really care about no basic planes versus Blood Moon. You have killed Madork. This will actually be an interesting matchup to see. I feel like this is the type of matchup where if we're good here, I could see some appeal to playing this deck. But like, if our graveyard grinding isn't enough to outgrind traditional Mardu, I feel like we're not doing anything meaningful. So get my untapped Lavaclaw Reaches for value. Flashing back looting, yep. Well, I don't think it's strictly a waste of a bolt statistic. They're like 10 out of 10 working towards casting this Bedlam Reveler sooner, right? So like that's almost certainly their goal in casting that bolt there. Like the bolt saved them some health, but like ultimately they're like trying to cast this Bedlam Reveler before it's relevant. Can you explain Remand versus Cascade? Yeah, you want to let the Cascade happen, Grimwatch, and then you want to remand the Living End that they Cascade into when they put it on the stack. Because the Living End they can't actually recast. They keep losing in Modern. Whenever I play in Pauper, is Modern a whole other story? What can you advise to improve my win rate? I would recommend finding a deck that you enjoy playing and then playing a bunch of it. Modern's not a format where you can just where you should just pick up the best deck like in Standard or Pauper that have more narrow metagames. Modern's a format where there's a lot of decks that are reasonable. And you should cycle through a bunch of different decks till you find one that kind of resonates with you. Morrisith, thank you very much for the 9-month tier 2 resub. Work and deciding to go back to school has kept me from a lot of streams recently, but I'm still here. Well, I appreciate the 3/4 of a year of support there. Hope you're going back to school is successful. I always really liked going to school. That was a big part of why I ended up getting my master's degree, because after my undergrad was done, I was like, I don't want to stop going to school. I like school. Probably part of why I taught for a while too. And thank you for the tier 2 resub too. Be sure to drop me a message in private if there's anything in the queue you'd like to bump up. It's your last card, Bedlam Boy. Oh, Bedlam. Oh, Bedlam, please, with the grind now. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Where are my demigods? I want to five you. Feels bad, man. Did you see the change in tuition prices? I did not. My college education wasn't free like in some developed countries in the world, but my college education was pretty cheap. Yeah, the attack is free. I mean, even if I had a plains in my deck, I probably wouldn't have fetched it this game. So, this game is more being decided by the fact that, my opponent saw Faithless Lootings to find more Faithless Lootings in actions, and I never saw any Faithless Lootings. No, I don't think so. I think working on the base assumption that I'm going to draw spells probably isn't unreasonable. I'm not winning this game without drawing spells. So, the fact that we haven't drawn spells, it doesn't matter if they have a Blood Moon or not. This is certainly an anger matchup. I think I want Anguished and Kalitas here too. Opponent likely to be on what's it called? Post board. Be on ley lines that I would like to take out of commission. Not a huge fan of discard spells. Just want more cards that play to the board. EE answers tokens. Yeah, they could have bridge as well. If I'm expecting them to possibly have bridge, do I want these Abrades? Abrade's probably not unreasonable in general. 1 and 2 Unmaking, yeah, that's probably fine. Why no Surgicals? Because Surgical's mostly card disadvantage in this matchup. Has to have things line up in a pretty specific manner for it to be reasonable, I think. Liliana's likely very bad here. I don't mind trimming 1. You need a non-zero amount of ways to take Bedlam Reveler off the table. Going 2-2 here seems fine. The Omni, can I still be timed out now that I have a turn? I can time you out. Would you like me to give you a Padlin? Would you like me to bloody my blade? They can't win if you extract Reveler. Well, I'm gonna just time that comment out rather than justifying responding to it. Ooh. Ooh, found some candy. Yeah, we'll see. If they like looting on one, I might just bog them. But if they just like discard spell here, we're definitely not going to bog them, obviously. Binning and anger here when we have a second's like pretty good punk fake value because like now they're likely to play around it. Also like anger Bloodghast is like not a combo. What are the appropriate times to sideboard in surgical extractions in Modern? When you have a deck that leans into needing a specific single card to win the game, it's a decent time to bring in surgical. And when you have a deck that as a dedicated graveyard deck, not a deck that's just like using the graveyard as like a resource on occasion. I'm gonna take their looting away here. Do I want to get my bog out? Probably not. Wouldn't be surprised to see Blood Crypt flashback looting here. Bog means butt in Portuguese. That's funny. Jace, our Lord and Savior. Well, that username didn't age well. Thank you for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How many demigods have we managed? Yes, we've put 0 demigods into play so far. This is match 2, game 2. Gab, thank you for the 2-month resubscription there. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Rude. Rude. This is incredibly rude. Alright, I think I need to bog them at this point, not only so I can start casting my spells, but so they're pretty far off of casting Bedlam Reveler. We are going to rude them back. You're not wrong. If I could learn a new language, I don't know. I don't really have plans to travel outside of the United States. I'm pretty happily ignorant and American and monolingual. I guess this would have had haste last turn, huh? Grrr. No, they've seen our secret sauce. They know the secrets to our sauce, chat. They know the special ingredient. They know the special ingredient. Yeah, they can't know for sure like what exactly we're doing. We're not like exactly playing a thing, right? There's a non-zero chance they thought it was just like a mirror match of sorts. Cut Brutality for EE. No, I think I prefer Brutality. Our deck makes tokens too, and I have Anger of the Gods to clean up if I need it. DeParis, thank you very much for the brand new Tier 1 sub. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed this month. We should concede to hide our secret weapon. What do you think of Panglacial Worm as another finisher? Do we get to enough mana to cast that consistently? You need 8 mana, right? I guess with the mana dorks, that's not unreasonable. Alright, we didn't get Leyline of the Voided. Oh, you know what? I probably could have boarded these out, right? They showed us Nile Spellbomb. And Nile Spellbomb likely indicates that they are not on Leyline, which makes this card pretty significantly worse, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's a small thing that you can pick up by being familiar with like cards that people play. Like once you see one type of graveyard hate, it becomes like far less likely that they're playing a different kind. Yeah, we have Abrades though. Bye, friends. That's sad. This is a good value spellbomb here. Remember, I'm all about constructive and specific feedback, but just showing up and go, this is a bad version of X. That's not helpful, constructive, or specific. Saying, is this a bad version of this other deck because, and then articulating why you think it might be a bad version of another deck, that allows us to open a discussion, have a dialogue with each other. Just like coming in here and taking a dump on something doesn't allow that to happen. Twin to win, thank you for the 3-month resubscription there. I appreciate this. What I think is the most fun / best control deck in Modern. Blue-white control is the best control deck in Modern. It's not particularly close, I don't think. I think Terminus is quite absurd. If you reject a deck list of mine, is it okay if I rework it? Yeah, definitely, DeParis. So, I'm going to get 1-for-1 value out of this Anguished Unmaking here. And exile this this Spellbomb in response to this fetch land, so they can't draw a card with it. We drew a Demigod last game right before we killed them. Have you played blue-white? Have you played Terminate blue-white control in the past at all? Yeah, we played a few leagues with it. You can find them on my website under the proven section. I said 1-for-1. Did I say 2-for-1? I meant 1-for-1. That was a 1-for-1. I wanted to get a 1-for-1 because otherwise they were going to get to draw a card with their Spellbomb at a later point. You considered playing Monastery Mentor in a blue-white shell. I don't think Monastery Mentor is very good in Modern because Modern is a format that's very creature-based, which means there's a lot of removal in this format. So it's very difficult to get value off of a card like Monastery Mentor because it often just dies before it can do anything. Alright, so I'm just going to let this resolve, and then I'll Damnation them to clean up the token too. Like, Monastery Mentor generally needs to be at least a 4-drop in Modern to get value out of it. And, like, as a 4-drop, it's just not powerful enough. So, the problem with assuming your opponent is going to side out their removal is that a lot of people just don't do that. And trying to level your opponent only works when you're 1 level above them. When you're 2 or 3 levels above them, the only person you're leveling is yourself. So... trying to be tricksy and cute doesn't work when they don't do what you're expecting them to do. So you should just not be cute and you should just play good cards. I actually don't think Mentor and Geist are similar at all. I think Geist is bad because it gets blocked very easily and trades in combat. Mentor is bad because it dies to a lot of removal that's commonly played. Basically, as someone who plays a lot of Modern, every time I've tried to be cute and do a sideboard strategy where, like, I'm boarding in creatures post-board in a deck that doesn't have any creatures in it, my opponents almost always have removal in, and I just feel sad and stupid. So, rather than continuing to feel sad and stupid... Oh, this feels bad. So... if I would have played a land here, I could have abraded and Anguished Unmaking and killed the token too. But, like, is killing the token worth 3 health? It might not be. Can I just draw a Demigod, please? Or, like, a Faithless Looting? Or, like, one of our cards that does stuff? $24 lands is a lot of lands, chat. I think it's a mixture of the two, Jace, if I'm being honest. I think there aren't that many dedicated creatureless decks in Modern, and Modern's such a creature-heavy format that most people can't cut all of their removal. And I think in some cases, even if they could, people don't correctly identify that they should. You are technically not allowed to reorder your library while searching it because of Panglacial Worms, so I would imagine that's how it works. That's true. We do have the virtual card advantage by not drawing spells. Opponent thought they were clever playing a discard spell, but little did they know we next leveled them by just not drawing spells. We have one more copy of Damnation in our deck, but other than that, we're kind of in a lot of trouble here. We were talking about leveling. That is correct. They left Blood Moon in against my mostly 2-color deck, and I didn't play a fetch land, so now we're going to draw Damnation and not be able to cast it. Didn't matter, did anyways. It's a tough beat. Yeah, I don't know. I know we flooded a little bit there, but at the same time, like, our deck is playing more land, so it can try and curve a little bit bigger. So, like, this deck's just going to flood more often than traditional Mardu Pyromancer does, right? Like, traditional Mardu Pyromancer only plays, like, 20 or 21 lands at most, usually. I believe. Actually, this is... Past Jeff has a Mardu Pyromancer deck list on his website. How many lands do they usually play? Mardu Pyromancer has 20 lands thereabouts. So, yeah. So, we're like, you know, have a good percentage more lands than they do. So, flooding there while they drew a better mixture of spells is expected because their deck has more spells in it. Um... I guess I'm keeping this. I mean, not only is Mardu Pyromancer a mid-range deck with Faithless Looting, but Mardu Pyromancer also just has, like, an absurdly low curve, right? Like, even the 3-mana spells in it often cost 2 when you bin them to looting. Details on how my donation queue works is here. The details on what's allowed to push stuff and what isn't. If the bot's alive, I guess. Maybe the bot's taking a morning off. The TLDR is that just subscribing to the channel does not let you bump anything in the queue. If that was the case, we would have an absurd amount of what I could only describe as queue inflation, and I would literally never be able to work through it. Twitch Prime subs and Tier 1 subs do get to add decks to the queue for just $10, so they get, normally for non-subscribers, it's $20 to add a deck to the list, but for subs, it's only $10. Yeah, Bedlam Reveler is a 2-drop, yep, and Lingering Souls is basically a 2-drop a lot of the time. Pyromancer isn't quite a Xerox deck. I think in order to qualify to be a Xerox deck, you need a bunch of cantrips, not just like one good piece of card selection. MK all day, thank you for the brand new Tier 1 sub. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. Do I want to jam Liliana of the Veil here? I think I do. I think I do. Definitely want to attack first in case they are feeling obligated to path this. We could get Logic Knotted, but Xerox is an old term that refers to a deck full of cantrips. So like the Jeskai Thing Ascension deck on my website would be considered a Xerox deck. It's got Serum Visions and Thought Scour. It's got, Serum Visions and Opt and Sleight of Hand and Faithless Looting. It's got like 16 cant, one mana card selection in effectively. Double Steam Vents, so some kind of Blue Moon style strategy most likely then. We do have a command, look at that. I'm gonna jam the Liliana again here, excuse me, mostly because next turn they're gonna have Cryptic Command up, so like trying to sneak this in now before they have Cryptic Command up feels ideal. And I am gonna go ahead and play my Bojuka Bog out here so I can get my Bloodghast back and work towards my Demigod next turn, potentially. Alright, go ahead and stand up here, too. I woke up early to go to the gym today, but I did not wake up early enough to actually get the chance to do cardio. Nimble Obstructionist. Who would play this garbage card in Modern? Everybody... the other kid said this card was bad. Why would you play that one? Don't talk about the gym, it makes me hurt. They attacked me. Interesting. So... am I losing this Liliana somehow? Ooh. Gosh. We've got some reach, chat. We've got some reach. What are the odds they're holding 5 lightning bolts? In response, kill you. Looks like they're playing blue-red tempo. Which probably means I just want all my removal. Huge fan of your YouTube videos. Glad to catch you live for once. Urinal Mike. Thank you for the bits. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for the support. Would you consider Hollow One a Xerox deck? No, I don't think so. I don't think it fits the definition. I have no idea if this deck is better or worse than Pyromancer. There's a non-zero chance that giving up Bedlam Reveler for a more aggressive top end is not a meaningful exchange, especially when it requires adding more lands to the deck. But the actual answer is, I definitely haven't played enough games with it to know if it's better or worse. So that's what we're doing here on stream. Maybe I don't want the sweepers, actually. I just want spot removal. Yeah, our main deck's actually set up pretty reasonably here, right? This is just good because it's got a large booty. This is probably medium against a deck with 3-mana potential counterspells. How do you feel about this? Just like Abrade and Kalitas in for the Damnation of the Lightning Axe? Most Legacy decks are Xerox decks, yep. Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain. Alright, let's do it. I don't think Engineered Explosives is good enough. They play a lot of mixed CMCs, and using explosives on a 3-drop is not particularly resource efficient. Seems pretty good. Get to go Inquisition you on 1, looting, bin the Bloodghast, hopefully maybe even a second on 2, and then bring them back into play with the Bojuka Bog land drop. There's a link describing what its Xerox deck is. Get some history. Alright, so now we're gonna Inquisition and try and poke a hole in potential counter magic so we can Collective Brutality this Grim Lavamancer next turn. Take your remand away. Yeah, Mutavault, Wandering Fumarole, confirmed blue-red tempo. How many lands did I play in blue-red at the Open? If you go to my website, jeffhoagland.com, you can find my current deck list, as well as videos of things that I've played in the past. I'm not going to game... Oh, wait, they didn't play the Opt. I just assumed they were going to play the Opt this turn. That's loose. I was reading chat and responding and kind of went on autopilot there and just assumed they were going to go Scalding Tarn Opt. Yeah, sorry. My autopilot definitely got the better of me. One of the things you can do as kind of a mental shortcut when playing Magic is think about what their plays are likely to be, so then what your plays are likely to want to be on the following turn. So that way you can kind of have your turn planned out. But then they didn't do what I was expecting them to do, so I kind of lost myself mid-pivot. Hey, Black Knight. Well, welcome back to the live ones. How are we doing so far? We're doing okay. This deck seems reasonable. I think I want to hold my land drops for now, especially because I can flashback. I can flashback stuff here. Nicholas. Even though you hate people taking responsibility for modern deck, do you think it's reasonable to say that you invented this deck? I don't, actually. So, the blue-red tempo wizards, whatever you want to call it, was based on a deck list that I played in 2012, 2013, and that deck list was given to me by a friend of mine that helped get me into competitive Magic, and I don't even know if it was his original creation. Like, everything is based on something somewhere. Like, it's probably basically the Simpsons did it. It's probably been done somewhere. You don't need to try and claim originality. Just, like, have a good time playing Magic. I think it's fair to say that I tuned and optimized the Blue-Red Wizards deck list a good bit. But, like, to try and say I invented it, I think that's silly. One step closer to Scred Dragons. Thank you for the bits, Chubby Grunt. I did see that. How bad is Blue Moon right now? I think Blue Moon is pretty mediocre. I think Blood Moon is in one of the worst spots that's ever been in Modern with how aggressive the format is. And I think trying to play a control deck with answers that are only blue and red is just like asking for disappointment. Like to use the points from yesterday towards a deck of my choosing. Thank you, Bloom. I appreciate the support. Everything is a bad version of Flash Hog. We've cast Demigod of Revenge. It's been placed on the stack and resolved, chat. They can finish the league happy. That was all we needed out of this league, right? That's aggressive. Okay. Okay, so they think they're winning this race. That's scary. I hope they're not winning this race. No, don't call can't lose. Alright, they drew another land, so maybe we're good. This is an aggressive line out of the opponent. Woo! Woo! Woo, buddy. Finally, I think I'm ready to take a step and become a true mentor of this great Hoglid nation. Please, Senpai, time me out. I got you, Bloom. I got you. They were close. This Snapcaster Mage put them real close. If we didn't have them dead here, they were going to kill us on the backswing, potentially. Alrighty. Alrighty. And you know, so, well, I'm not sure if everything this deck is doing is, you know, worth exchanging for over what Pyromancer's doing. Having this big piece of top end that, like, actually takes the door and just slams it shut very hard, very quickly is good. Having a way, the best way to control a game in Modern is to end the game. The decks that are doing busted things are really good at doing their busted things. That's why they're good decks. And they're good at reassembling through disruption. So, like, you need to be able to close the door when you're picking them apart. So I posted this, let's have a moment of Hogland does social media. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. I think the perfect way for a cheater to show they're actually sorry and ready to change them to donate all of their ill-gotten gains to charity somewhere. You can't be sorry while you keep what you sold. What time span is reasonable? Immediately? How about we give them the 3 years in which they are banned for having cheated to pay it back? Oops, missed the cue, whatever. What's a reasonable time span? Well, we banned them for 3 years, so probably that. Probably we've determined that that's it. And if you haven't given back all your stolen money at the end of 3 years, just don't let them come back. Then about Stormbreath Dragon as that closer. Stormbreath's an interesting one. Stormbreath is like a uniquely positioned threat in Modern, right? Because it dodges Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, and Path to Exile, which seems great. Honestly, I think the suggestion of Stormbreath Dragon is probably more reasonable than playing Demigod and Mardu. Stormbreath has, like, upside if you... Oh, and now our opponent didn't join. Tilt. Alright, while we're waiting for this queue to finally pop, I'd just like to thank everyone for hanging out here today. My name's Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time stream, meme, content producer here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30+ hours a week. If you enjoy my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are the people that keep me employed here full-time. If you're one of the many people in the world who has Amazon Prime, if you link your Amazon account to your Twitch account, you get Twitch Prime included with that for free, and Twitch Prime gives you a free channel subscription every single month to a channel of your choice here on Twitch. Past that, you can support myself by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. Cardsphere.com will love to help you turn some of your cards into other cards directed to other players. There's no haggling. They just take a 1% fee off the top. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience. Using code Jeff12, you can save 12% on custom playmats, mouse pads, binders, and bags there. Cool Stuff Inc. buys and sells. I just missed those ads up, didn't I? I haven't stumbled in a spiel in a while. Cool Stuff and Inked are great. We've got sweet discount codes. They sell great stuff. This stream would also not be possible without viewers like Anaronics, Justin, Nivik, and all of y'all. We're heading on into the next match here. I missed up the shilling. It's how you know it's live, chat. It's how you know it's not pre-recorded. It's not pre-recorded. I'm here spitting it all out every day. All right, what do you got? Mardu mirror match, eh? Must be a Mardu Nahiri deck. God, this Gideon's gonna be rough. I guess we're taking the first one. Working through the second's gonna be a tough nut to crack, though. Perfect. God bless you, busted card selection. God bless you. God bless you and the cards you select. Does anyone know the ads protocol for once if you sub with Prime? Yeah, well, it depends on the channel settings, Saba. So on my channel, I have it set so subscribers don't see advertisements. So if you are subbed to my channel, you're not going to see a difference when Prime starts showing ads on channels. Because subs, which include Prime subs, don't see advertisements on my channel. You cannot push him when he attacks. He gives himself indestructible there. Love Aliens with the $25 donation. Thank you very much for the support. Jeff, putting this towards Grixis Delver. Hey, Lucas, I'm donating towards your deck. Are we just dead here, chat? Alright, so, ooh, okay. I kind of like what the opponent is doing here. They've got some Mardu stuff, and it looks like they probably have Nahiri to go over the top. But they also have a bunch of creature lands, which seems sweet. Yeah, relevant Magic-related links are always welcome in chat. Yeah, the only shilling you have to experience on my channel as a sub is the ones right down below me. You don't have to experience the Twitch specific ads. I want Kaya Ghost Assassin or Mystic Confluence. And not because either of those cards would be good in Modern, but just because I really want to play with them. I already flashbacked my looting. That's sad. I really like Kaya's from a design perspective. The opponent's jib is cut in a pleasant direction. I concur. I can't tell. Is Faithless Looting Emrakul a combo or not? Because it's gonna like shuffle the Faithless Looting back in, but it's like getting the Emrakul out of their hands. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. You think Dak Faden would be balanced in Modern? Yeah, probably. I'm not even sure that it would be that good, honestly. Yep, there's Nahiri. The fact that they have Nahiri actually, like, makes our Bloodghast a lot more meaningful, right? Because they're gonna be, like, forced to, like, trade some spirits to protect the Nahiri now. Do I jam Demigod here? I feel like I don't, right? If I jam Demigod, they just gobble her. They just gobble it. So I think I'm just going to smash Nahiri here. And I, like, have to use a bunch of my land drops up to do that. The gift The Ghet Frog Monster, thank you very much for the brand new Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Is Nahiri still an option in Modern? Yeah, I think Nahiri is very reasonable. I actually just added, or I'm going to be adding Jeskai Nahiri to my website. I don't really have a way. I guess maybe playing this was right, because it would have, if it forced them to downtick. Yeah, maybe that was loose. Storm Breath would tear. Yeah, I can't actually hit this, right? Because they're going to go block Helix, then I'm going to get Emrakul and died. Yeah, I should have done this last turn. That was a mistake. I was underestimating how quickly they were going to get to Nahiri, and the answer was very quickly. Sound just got weird. Sound weird for anybody else? Or just Equinox? Morning, Anner. Normal for y'all. Sounds good. Alright, so these pushes aren't very good. I think the Damnations aren't very good. The ban and restricted announcement was disappointing but expected. It's been all summer since I was subbed or saw you live. Feels good to be back. Well, thank you. I say my wife is using a mixer upstairs, so maybe you're hearing some of that. You can read all about what I would have done with the banned and restricted list on my article from 2 weeks ago. Actually, my article for this week should be up. Is my article up? I think they go live at 10 Central. Yay! All right, so this is something I'm doing. I'm doing with some consist. Wait, is it not? Is their site broken? That's okay. Is their site broken, or does this work for people? Is it an issue? So if I go here and I click on the stream gems here, oh, now it works. Maybe it like just went live. That's weird. Okay, so if you're looking for sideboard tips and some thoughts on Elves, Temur Kiki, or Jeskai Thing Ascension, you can find them on my article on Cool Stuff Inc. this week. Seems pretty good. What are my thoughts on battle lands or cycle lands instead of 3rd/4th shocks? I think it's actually pretty rare that you want 4 shocks in any given deck. I also think the battle lands and cycle lands tend to be a bit too slow in Modern. Ooh. Ooh. No, I think the amount of reasonable data Elfalicious that you need to accomplish that. Wait, this is the same match, right? They have blue cards in there. We saw a Flooded Strand last game, but I just kind of assumed it was a budget constraint. Interesting. I hate everything, everything. You know we hate everything. No, this is game 2. This is game 2. So, you know, we were talking about, one of the things someone mentioned was that this seems like an awkward choice with the amount of graveyard hate that's going around right now because of Bridgevine specifically. And I kind of agree with that to a point. I think, you know, to play a graveyard engine deck like this, the payoff that you're getting really needs to be strong. And I question that Demigod of Revenge and Bloodghast are powerful enough tools to be worth being weak to this graveyard hate that's very common right now. Well, that was a really good series of draws after they kept a really bad hand. I think playing Liliana there is wrong because my opponent looked like they were going to be stumbling, and if they're stumbling, they have plenty of extra cards to be discarding to Liliana, and I'd rather just focus on killing them. Nah, the Naru deck just felt too clunky and awkward. And like, now this Liliana is really bad, and our Lingering Souls are kind of mediocre. I guess I'm going to start with Faithless Looting here, since this Liliana's bad anyways. I meant 4 of the same shock wannabe beetle. Someone asked the question, what do I think of Tango or Psycho Lands instead of a 4th, 3rd, or 4th shock, which I assume they meant all of the same kind. Thanks, Wandering Wind. At the end... They actually kept Hallowed Fountain, no other lands on the play, and have made their first 4 land drops and found all 4 of their colors. That's magic sometimes. They're gonna like play their 5th land next turn and breach Emrakul us and just like make us the saddest of pandas. I think there's a lot of cards they could unban in Modern, and Birthing Pod is on the list of cards I think they could unban. But I also think if they're going to unban stuff in Modern, they can't unban everything all at once. They should probably only unban or ban 1 to 2 things at a time. This is a no justice stream, that's true. I mean, if they brick for a turn or 2 here, we have a very quick clock. And by that I mean they can flashback Lingering Souls, and they found a Gideon, so... Ooh. Okay. Okay. I'd put Twin and Stoneforge Mystic back. Probably. I'd probably ban Stirrings and Looting first, though. Just, like, let that happen. It didn't have those in their hand either. Alright, you know. So do I kill Chad here? Or do I Liliana and plus? I think I'm supposed to kill Chad. Is the Nahiri Titan Shift different enough to go on the site? Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea to add. I forgot we did that one we did that one twice, right? 2 has been like my floor. 2 has been like my floor. Saying we shouldn't ban Faithless Lootings because it's played in too many decks is like saying we should unban Ponder and Preordain because those would go into a lot of decks. I don't understand the double standard. There's a double standard among Magic players where I hear the same people say we can't ban that card, it's in too many decks. And those people also say, you can't unban this card, it would go into too many decks. So, like, which of those 2 is it? Can I not ban this card because it's in too many decks? Or can I not unban this other card because it would go into too many things? Like, pick one. You can't have both. In my opinion, having both is stupid. It's absurd and it's inconsistent. Alright, so I'm going to bolt this. I'm going to play Liliana. I'm going to plus her. I don't actually think that's true, Metalix. After playing with good iterations of blue-white control, I actually think blue-white control is very reasonable in the current format. What happens to mid-range if looting is banned? Green-black mid-range is still fine. There's probably still Mardu decks that are fine. I'm all alone, there's no one here beside me. Do. We know they have Emrakul. We know they have Emrakul. We know they have Emrakul. I'm just like letting people know why I'm conceding. For the people that are commenting that I'm not dead yet, you're correct. My health total was not reaching 0 that turn. The game, however, was over. The people that think we weren't dead there, those are the same people that think they're gonna beat the turn 3 Karn when they're on the draw. They're silly and they're just wasting their own time. Yeah, actually, that's true. Mid-range probably gets better with Faithless Looting banned because the graveyard-centric decks that are powered by Faithless Looting tend to prey on mid-range decks. Decks like Bridgevine and Hollowed One, those decks often beat up mid-range decks. Also, you arguably open up a wider swath of mid-range decks because Mardu Pyromancer just like out mid-ranges everybody better, right? But I'm not dead yet. You will be soon, Grandpa. Calm down. Pipe down over there, Grandpa. You will be dead very soon. What if they attack Liliana? Yep. Sorry for the bits of background noise. They are continuing the construction outside my home that they started yesterday. It's the city doing work, not me personally. It depends on the clock. Remember, in a tournament, you have a shared clock. There's actually more incentive to scoop games you are very likely to lose when you have more games to play, when you're potentially pressed for time in the tournament. But you don't think that any deck can beat turn 3 card on the draw, or you just mean in some cases where the cards... I think most decks in Modern have a very hard time beating turn 3 card on the draw. Is it impossible? No, I didn't say it was impossible. But I think most of the time, turn 3 Karn when you're on the play ends the game in your favor. It's just like when Amulet Titan put a Primeval Titan into play on turn 2, attacked you for 16, you technically weren't dead. You were mostly dead, but you technically weren't all dead. Back from the Beyond and just read your article on what you'd ban and unban. I deplete completely. I think we should also ban, yeah, maybe. I don't know. So, like, once upon a time, I was definitely more aggressive with the idea that we should get rid of more stuff in Modern. But the more I play Modern, the more I come around to the idea that Modern is supposed to be this format where you just, like, let everybody do their sweet thing. And the only thing you should be banning and affecting in Modern is things that keep some of those really obnoxious sweet things from being slightly less obnoxious. So I think if you can choose, if you have a choice between making a deck worse with the banning and getting rid of a deck altogether with a different banning, you should always choose make the deck worse because it keeps more things in the format. I mean, am I playing it? Why am I playing into a remand here, right? I'm just gonna like play my land and pass. I think it's silly to always be banning and unbanning stuff, but I also think that there are things that have been banned for a long time that need to be unbanned. The fact that Stoneforge Mystic is banned in Modern at this point would be like banning Reflector Mage and Smuggler's Copter and Rampaging Ferocidon in Modern. Those cards aren't actually too good for Modern, but they were too good for Standard, so we banned them in Modern because they were too good for Standard, which is stupid. Why are we banning cards in a completely different format for something they did in another format? Like, that's just silly to me. Well, those were decent hits. You think they will unban Stoneforge Mystic with Batterskull in the game? Yeah, definitely. Turn 3 Batterskull is fine. Listen, if there's anything that the last 15 years of playing Magic, 15 plus years of playing Magic has taught me, is that the only thing Magic players like more than playing Magic is complaining about Magic, okay? And if you don't believe that, you haven't spent enough time with Magic players. Stoneforge Mystic has been on the Modern ban list from the inception of the format. It's literally never been legal. It was banned because Jace and Stoneforge were too good in Standard. So, in my opinion, drawing parallels to a no ban list Modern tournament to actual regular Modern is absurd. Because there are cards on the Modern ban list that definitely need to stay on the Modern ban list. No ban list Modern was dominated by Eye of Ugin and other degenerate things like cards like Glimpse and Chrome Mox and Rite of Flame. Like, these cards, Umezawa's GT, these cards can stay where they're at. We don't need those Hyperjets. We don't need those things back in the format. So, when people always point to no ban list Modern results for like why something is good or bad or would be okay for Modern, they don't really get it. The power level of Magic cards is always format contextual. A great example of this is Monastery Mentor. Monastery Mentor is pretty close to unplayable garbage in Modern. It's restricted in Vintage because it's too good there. It's restricted in Vintage and it's mostly unplayable in Modern. Like, the context in which you are examining a card determines its power level. Yeah, if you've got the Rant Square on your bingo card, you can check that one right on off there. I got your back. I'm just going to hold these lands for now. These lands are like technically more Bloodghast. These lands could be discarded to Faithless Looting potentially. That's fair, though Simian Spirit Guide, at the very least, shouldn't be legal. No one ever looked at Spirit Guide and tried to use it in the fair way. Yeah, but I mean, like, even think about Griselbrand, right? Like, Griselbrand, even with all its busted stuff that it's doing with Spirit Guide, it's much worse without Faithless Looting, right? If you have any legacy card reprinted, I answered that question, Metalix. I answered you by saying Kaya Ghost Assassin or Mystic Confluence. I actually would really love the entire Confluence cycle in Modern. The entire Confluence cycle sounds like a great addition to this format. Fiery Confluence and Mystic Confluence would be great. Kaya's my #1 pick, though. I love the design on that card. Daze would be fine in Modern. Nope, gotta qualify that one. Daze is an obnoxious card. Don't want to play with or against that one. Ban Looting 2018. I would love if we could play Mystic Confluence in this format. That card would be great. It's basically counterspell when you need it. It's counter unless they paid 6 or 9 or whatever. And it's just like Jace's Ingenuity when you need it. Do I just Damnation next turn? I think I'm going to attack and then Damnation. If they don't block my Bloodghast, I'm going to Damnation. If they do trade with my Bloodghast, I'm going to play a land and cast Lingering Souls, I think. We are really good at flooding out in this deck. Thankfully, we've got some Bloodghast this time around. I wonder what True Name would be like in Modern. Miserable, and I never want to play against it. That is that card might single-handedly be responsible for making me despise Legacy. That card is such miserably designed. Games of Magic are fun when they're interactive. That card is like the antithesis of everything interactive. When you sold your physical cards, you take them to the storage, you piece out the expensive ones first. I sold, like, everything that was, like, 50 plus on its own, but a lot of it I just buy listed. Matt, at the time, my buddy Matt Bamonte was the manager for one of the stores in town, and they ended up just buying most of my stuff to sell on TCG Player. No, Sensei's Dividing Top is just miserably designed and should stay where it is. Alright, what are we doing, opponent? What are we doing? Honestly, I think Leovold would probably be okay. There's a non-zero chance that Leovold is okay. Yeah, True Name should read if you have more than one opponent. That's a great way. And, like, True Name is such a failure of a design because I'm told that, and I guess I don't know this for sure, but True Name's not good in Commander, right? Is True Name not good in Commander? Because if it's obnoxious in Legacy and not good in Commander, what has it really accomplished? It's terrible in Commander. All right. So, like, why does the card exist? Why does this card exist if it's not played in the format it was printed for? And it's obnoxious. That's true. That's true. It sold. I remember I went to the first Legacy Grand Prix that card was legal for. I played in the first Legacy Grand Prix that card was legal for. People were like buying those decks and ripping it. Yeah, okay, fair. Capitalism is a good answer. I like capitalism as an answer. Capitalism is why it exists. Got it. There's someone knocking at my door. I will be right back. Sorry about that. Normally I ignore the door while I'm here working, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't like the construction people saying they like hit my sewer pipe or something and they needed to turn my water off. It's just someone who had the wrong address. They're like, does so-and-so live here? I was like, nope. They certainly do not. I picked those decks up at Walmart and walked across the street to Cool Stuff and sold the True Names for more than I paid for the decks. That's hilarious. These Bloodghast might single-handedly win us this game, chat. These Bloodghast might single-handedly win us this game. Average bloom. So honestly, though, how much gets you to sing for a solid minute? The problem is, I don't know if I know a full minute's worth of lyrics to any songs. Alright, so this is 10 out of 10 a Damnation turn, right? What's your opinion on buy a box only cards like Nexus of Fate? I think Wizards is a for-profit company, not a charity that's here to enable Magic players, and they can and should monetize their product in any way they think is reasonable. I think people complaining about the price of Nexus of Fate are silly. Nexus of Fate isn't even the most expensive card in Standard. If Nexus of Fate is too expensive, then Teferi and other mythics are also too expensive, and you should be complaining about those as well. And I haven't heard anybody say a peep about $40 mythics in forever. So, like, if the $30 Nexus of Fate is too much money, you should be up in arms about the $40 mythics. Do you think 2 Field of Ruin would be greedy in the Swans list? Probably not, Savage Rocker. Probably not. What are we doing here? Engineered Explosives actually seems pretty good because it's 4 mana, kill Thing, and it kills Mardu, and it kills Pyromancer. Because remember, Thing has its 2 casting cost in the back half as well. Collective Brutality, not particularly good here. I probably have enough removal without that. I think I want to keep Liliana the Veil in, even though she's slightly awkward against Pyromancer tokens, because she does clean up Thing in the Ice. Spread your wings, my songbird, and fly. I actually really like that idea. They should print modern staples as the buy a box promos. Yeah, that's what they should do. That's actually, like, a great solution. They should just, like, take like, you know, Lilianas and Path to Exiles and Snapcaster Mages and Tarmogoyfs. Can you imagine how many boxes they would sell if you got a foil Tarmogoyf with every box? A foil Noble Hierarch? A foil Cavern of Souls? They wouldn't be able to stock enough booster boxes. And Standard would probably be very cheap in comparison because people would be buying these to get the modern staples. And it solves 2 problems at once, right? It gives you a better supply of modern staples that we want, and it doesn't have the issue that Nexus of Fate has. Someone in chat thought about that. That wasn't my idea. I think it's a great idea, though. That sounds more than good. It's great. So they didn't play the Chartercoist that they revealed, so this could be a game that we just get Delvered out of here. This could be just like flip my Delver, rail you into the ground. This is not my deck list, Detroit Lion. I'd imagine it's to fit a bunch of Collective Brutalities in the main deck, which I actually don't mind. I like Collective Brutality as a card. Part of me wonders if they're going to change the back on physical Magic cards, and if they change the back on physical Magic cards, if that gives them a loophole out of the reserve list to reprint those cards. a good draw. Means I get to drop this Liliana here. And then bolt this still. That being said, we've taken so much damage from this Delver at this point that we probably are dead regardless. So I'm bolting in response to the Remand here on the off chance they draw another counterspell. Yeah, but let's be honest. You should probably already not be using non-opaque back sleeves is what it comes down to. Burn me out, baby. Light 'em up. We're on fire. Are we dead now? So, here's the thing, Trubby Cool, and this is why Twitch usernames Trubby Cool. This is why big companies tend to be risk adverse. Even if Wizards, with their very powerful lawyers, could legally reprint the reserve list and believe that they would come, there wouldn't be any legal recourse against them. They would still have to pay for lawyers to defend from suits that would be filed. Even if you are in the right, it still costs you money to show that you are correct. That's how America works. Even just being right isn't enough. You still have to defend yourself in court. I'm sure that's not exclusive to just America. It's probably exclusive to lots of places that have complex legal systems, but that's definitely true of this country. Crossroad! Thank you for the brand new Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month. Gosh, these fair leagues are a slog. I'm not sure if we're going to make it to 4 leagues today. They have to be done by 3 o'clock, so we'll see how long black-white cards and 4-color control take. We might have to swap Mardu Pyromancer till tomorrow and pick an aggro deck for the last league if we have time. My bar exam isn't for a few more years. Reprinting the reserve list isn't a legal issue. They just put a company policy in place. I don't think it has any legal weight. Well, I mean, you're not a lawyer, right? So, like, you have no idea? I don't know. I'm just saying, even if they could be in the right with doing it, there's still a risk associated with doing it. And Wizards of the Coast has kind of shown year in and year out that they're a very risk-adverse company. Durania, thank you for the 7-month resubscription. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for the 7 months of support there. We get to play our Liliana the Veil and bin this Bloodghast here. What do I think of what, Bloom? Brainstorm wouldn't be that great. Or are you talking about getting rid of fetch lands? They're not going to do anything like getting rid of fetch lands. Talking about getting rid of fetch lands is pointless. Because it's just not going to happen. They brought in Crumble to Dust. They brought in Crumble to... Okay, sure. Sure. I mean, this is a fine Magic card to register, but why is you in your deck right now? Please, that's in the main. It's funny because it's probably true. I'm gonna start by casting this. I think so. Yeah. See where we go. I'm gonna discard these two. Maybe these two. I definitely want the land drop. I'm gonna ditch these two. I'm gonna Inquisition them. I'm gonna Bog them. I'm gonna Bolt them. I'm gonna plus Liliana. Just get my hand empty. Mixmaster, thanks for the support. I'm having a great day. Life is swell. Alright, well, I'm just gonna leave this Remand Stranded in their hand then, I think. Like, Bog you, Bolt you, plus this Liliana. So the plan is to just, like, grind them down with this Bloodghast and this Liliana. The deck list on the mobile app is bugged. You have to clear the Twitch app cache in order for it to update the deck list that's listed. So it is a bug in the Stream Decker mobile. If you type ! deck in chat, you'll see the current deck list as a link. Bloodghast was kind of impressive. Bloodghast allowed us to grind games that we wouldn't have been able to grind otherwise. I don't think with the current place that Modern is at right now, that leaning harder into graveyard synergies in a mid-range deck like this is a good place to be. I feel like there's so many ley lines and surgicals and Nile spell bombs and stuff like that that, like, trying to leverage our graveyard in this absurdly fair way in comparison to the other graveyard decks in Modern feels like it comes up a little bit short. And I don't think I would be interested in, like, trying to fight on that access currently. Maybe in the future when, like, the Bridgevine fad dies out and there's less of that, it could be okay. One thing I will say, and this is, like, things I always take away, like, the big problem that, like, Mardu Pyromancer often has that it has trouble closing games out. Having a big fat flyer with haste closes some games. Maybe some Stormbreath Dragons are worth testing in Mardu. That card, like, races people down, and it is really good against control decks. It dodges Bolt, Path, and Fatal Push. Just, like, very, very, very clean. Alright, what are we doing next? We've got a